Welcome to another episode of Daily Fantasy Showdown. The Mega Slam is over, and that's probably the biggest tournament that's going to be around on Fanduel until football season starts, which is kind of doubly depressing because as a group we shot for the stars yesterday and we didn't even get off the ground. 31 slam tickets, and we only cashed in one. So, back to the drawing board. We had a nice little run going. We ran up 300 to 800 in the last few days, and then we decided to put it all in on the Mega Millions. And we're all humbled, and it was a great learning experience. And just kind of have to readjust and reevaluate and keep moving forward. It is daily fantasy sports. It is risky. There is variance. There's stuff you can't predict. You start thinking of the outcomes. You're a goner. You're lost. All you can really do is make the next right move and the most profitable move as it pertains to the long run. So there's only one game tonight, so we're going to go ahead and focus in on Friday because it's another 13-game slate, and there's a lot to break down, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So Chris Paul at the top, kind of pricey for the matchup, but he hasn't had a problem hitting value except for yesterday in bad matchups, and he probably would have hit about 50-ish points had the Knicks just not completely went belly up. I mean, he played the Kings before that. He had 55. He had 54 against the Wizards, who aren't a bad team, but I think he had around 50 against Charlotte as well. So he can hit his value against bad teams. So don't let that scare you away. So next up we have Lillard against the Phoenix Suns. And Lillard's been kind of on a tear lately, close to 50 fantasy points the last two games. Aldridge is back, so that affects him some because he doesn't need to do as much. But I'm not afraid of starting him against the Suns again, even with Aldridge back. I think he's kind of on a tear right now. I want to ride that wave. Reggie Jackson against the Magic. The Magic are a bottom 8 team in DVP, which is defense versus positional stats. And he's playing Elfrid Payton, who's on fire. Neither of them are great defenders, but both of them can stuff the stat sheet. So I'm starting Reggie Jackson and Easy P tomorrow, as we like to call him now. And maybe even in the same game because these two teams are ranked top 8 worse in DVP. So they're going to be giving up a lot of fantasy points at every single position. So moving down a little bit, Isaiah Thomas against New York, kind of a sneaky play. Not really sneaky. I mean, he's back from injury. He's good. He puts up like 35 fantasy points off the bench. He's playing the Knicks. Maybe he gets more playing time. He could really chop the Knicks up tomorrow, and there's no Shved. Not that he would be matched up on Shved anyways, but whoever he's matched up on, he should do away with pretty easily. So next up we have Dragic. My friend Donnie and partner was adamant in starting Elfrid Payton and Nikola Vucevic in the same lineup. I guess the Hawks have been pretty bad about letting players penetrate in the paint and giving up a lot of points in the paint. So Dragic immediately comes one of the better point guard plays on the board. I don't think I put him in my DraftKings video. For some reason I didn't see it. But he's an excellent play tomorrow against the Hawks. Hawks have been getting pummeled a little bit. Maybe it's just, how long can you play great? Maybe it's kind of they're in like a lull right now. And hopefully they don't take it out on the Heat. And hopefully Wade comes back because then you can stack Wade and Dragic. I think it would be like a 80-point upside combo if Wade is healthy. And if Whiteside is back, I don't think he's going to be back. He could be, but Wade, Dragic, Whiteside would be a great stack. So Jordan Clarkson has been on a tear lately. He's starting right next to Jeremy Lin in Linsanity Tour. He's the opening act to Linsanity Tour 2015. You can even start both of them in the same lineup. A couple nights ago, they combined for like 80 fantasy points. Not 100% sure what they combined for last night. It was probably like 60 to 70 fantasy points. They're playing the Raptors, who could be down Kyle Lowry. So it'd be kind of a sneaky stack for you guys to roll out tomorrow. Langston Galloway isn't the greatest play, but I think Shved is out, so he should get all the minutes he can handle. Don't overthink the minute thing, even in a bad matchup. Yesterday, I had a couple people saying Levine was playing the Lakers. It's a bad matchup because the Lakers have been so good against point guards the last 3 weeks. But then someone told me that Levine would get 40 minutes per game, and he got 30 points yesterday. If you get 40 minutes per game, you can just trip and fall into 30 fantasy points. And I mean, Langston Galloway could do that tomorrow, and maybe he could push 35. They just don't have that many people left on New York. And I mentioned Jeremy Lin. He's definitely in play tomorrow as well. So keep firing up Linsanity Tour 2015 until further notice and his price goes up. Okay, so Harden, do we fade him tomorrow or not? You can fade him. He's always a fade at your own risk. He's playing the Wolves. Dwight Howard is back. He might not need to get to 50 or 60 fantasy points, and his price point is a little too inflated. So you can fade him if you want, but fade at your own risk. Bledsoe playing Portland. Lillard sucks against opposing point guards. He just gives up a lot of points to him. Fantasy points, that is. Looks like Bledsoe didn't practice. He's sick, but I'm sure he's going to fight through it and play against the Trailblazers. Turner against New York. He might be playing small forward instead of shooting guard. It doesn't really matter. It's New York. You can go ahead and fire up Turner. Redick could easily have like 25 fantasy points before he has to sit in this game, maybe even 30. Kind of a risk because of the blowout, and I think you can find better value at a cheaper SG. Bradley against New York is probably a good candidate. The Knicks have just kind of mailed it in. Hopefully they keep it competitive enough for Bradley to hit 30. Gordon hasn't been lighting up the stat sheets lately, but the tried and true method of playing guards against the Kings never fails. So just play him. Don't overthink it. He could go off. Orlando is actually surprisingly good against shooting guards. I think Oladipo is a pretty good defender. I think you can still kind of roll him out anyways. He's 5,500. He can get hot. Like I said, I'm targeting this game because of the poor DVP of both teams. I'm going to play KCP tomorrow. Barton, my boy, has kind of cooled off lately. I'm not sure what to make of him tomorrow. He's always in play for me. He's explosive. I had a friend go to the game, and I was talking up Barton for weeks, and he saw him, and he said he passes the eyeball test. He just has a lot to play for, you know. He was buried on the Trailblazer bench. He can provide a spark. He's trying to prove that he belongs in this league, and he's playing really inspired. So that's kind of what you want. I mean, especially at the end of the season when there's a lot of players who have nothing to play for, teams tanking. Barton is consistent off the bench. He's going to have a few duds, like the 15-point games, 18-point games, 12 points. And he's going to go off for like 50 fantasy points as well, like he did on the 15th. Season high 25 points. Usually he's going to get you around 25. Off the bench at 5,500. I'm going to take that. Brandy Foy is a starter. You can probably start him as well. I don't know. The Nuggets are kind of doing some weird stuff with their rotations. Keep an eye on it. Sometimes they rest players. Sometimes they don't. I don't know the method to the madness, so keep an eye on it. You don't want your lineup tanked. What is it with LeBron James? He's one of the lowest owned of all the superstars. I guess he's not very sexy because he can fall into 40 fantasy points and he doesn't really need to do much more than that. He can get 50 and then he's not going to push the 60 threshold. I don't know. Whatever it is, he's playing the Nets, and once again, he can fall into 40 or 50 fantasy points. And, you know, maybe his price point is a little inflated for that, but I'll take 50, you know, and I'll take the low ownership as well. So those two things kind of overcome the negative to his price point. Kawhi Leonard is on fire lately. Not on fire. He's in mid or late season form. Okay. Um, the Spurs, the Mavericks, the Battle of Texas. It's going to be Parsons on Leonard. So I think Parsons is more of a offensive threat than defensive. Look for Leonard to hit around 40 fantasy points tomorrow and hopefully a little bit more. Rudy Gay is playing power forward or small. I think he's playing power forward. And if he is, he has a tough matchup against the Brow, but hopefully he goes back to small forward. I doubt he will. But it's the Cousins and Gay show. Those are the only two guys they really have. So, I mean, I like stacking them, honestly. It's going to be a tough matchup for him. But, you know, he's going to be right in the trenches with the Brow, banging in the paint, trying to get rebounds. Maybe he gets a couple steals, a block. I don't know. I mean, getting a block on Brow, it's going to be kind of tough to do. Maybe a steal or something like that. Maybe he racks up like 15 to 20 points, 8 rebounds, few assists. You know, I could see that out of him, even though he's playing the Brow. So I like Gay tomorrow. Nico is playing Phoenix, who have been a little better against small forwards lately. I think they held him out of Wednesday's game in anticipation for this game. They went the safe route, so I expect him he's going to be fully healthy on Friday. But make sure you check the news. If he's healthy, I like him. He stuffs the stat sheet. He does a little bit of everything. And even with Aldridge and Lillard there, he still can get 40 or 50 fantasy points and even 35. Tobias Harris against Orlando. Great DVP matchup. I'm stacking him with like the full Magic squad. Easy P, Oladipo, Harris, and Vucevic against Detroit. So he's healthy. Start him. He's playing for a contract. Wiggins blew up last game for like 45 fantasy points. Up to that point, he had a couple 30 games and also a couple 15, 12 point, 18 point fantasy games, but he's averaging a whopping 40 minutes a game. So just take him. I think his minutes are safe even in a blowout. So he's definitely somebody you want to target tomorrow. At the power forward position, Anthony Davis is really expensive, but he's playing the Kings. Just play him. That's all you can really say about that. Griffin can hit value in against a bad team in an amazing matchup. So just go ahead and fire him up if you want to fit him in. I'm probably not going to have him in many lineups. Favors is like the best matchup play on the board against the Nuggets. The Nuggets suck against power forwards. And that's just not going to change. It's like tradition or something. It's like Christmas. It happens, okay? It's always there. You can always count on it. Noel has a tough matchup, but, you know, his minutes are safe like Wiggins. They're just going to leave him in there. He's getting like 38 minutes a game. I don't know if he's going to reach value against Blake Griffin. It's going to be tough, but kind of the same logic with Gay. He's going to be banging with Griffin. So they're going to be fighting it. And he's going to score a few points and get a few rebounds. It's not like Griffin's going to get like 30 rebounds. I mean, he could, but it's not likely. So they're going to be fighting in the paint. So I still kind of like him tomorrow. Other than that, you can probably go Tolliver if Monroe doesn't play. Magic are just terrible against power forwards. Millsap just put up a 50 burger on him for fantasy points. So as far as center goes, we got Cousins. He's always in play any given night. He hit 47 fantasy points, and it was a down night for him. So you're playing him tomorrow. Drummond, you're playing against Vucevic, who I said is an offensive big man. He doesn't have much defense. He brings to the table. Gobert is playing Denver. That's a great matchup. Jordan, like I said, it could be a blowout, but look what Cousins did to him a few games ago. 70 fantasy points. I think DeAndre is, I mean, he could fall into 50 fantasy points in this game, so I don't mind firing him up tomorrow. And of course, Vucevic. What video would be complete without Vucevic after I mentioned I was targeting that DVP tomorrow? And then Lopez against the Cavaliers, which could be a blowout, but if the Nets are going to have a chance against the Cavs, Lopez is going to have to be involved. And it's not like Timofey Mozgov is going to stop him. Lopez is just extremely athletic. We had one of our writers kind of do an article on him today. He's just a matchup nightmare when he's on. It's just a matter of finding him when he's on, and they're going to need him tomorrow. So I like him as well. Well, that completes our video today. If you have any questions, join our Facebook group, Daily Fantasy Showdown. If you haven't signed up to FanDuel or DraftKings, sign up in the links below. I get some of your rake. Otherwise, the rake just goes to the company completely. If you sign up through my links, I get a percentage of that. I do love doing this, but I'm doing it for free right now, so support your boy. Thank you guys, and you have a very good night.